Hey, what's up guys, it's Tade, and in this video I wanted to share my experience of trying the new totem build they introduced in PV2 0.3 patch. I will show the gameplay of the builds in a few minutes after a brief explanation of the way I tried to scale the damage on this build. So what is this build even about? There is a new lineage support gem called Tawhoa Tending. It makes it so that your totems have more maximum life and totems explode on death. This explosion does area damage around the totem. It's a physical damage and it's based on 10% of totem's maximum life. So sadly, in-game there is no tooltip DPS explanation of this damage from the support gem. So initially it was kind of hard to understand how to even scale this damage of the explosion even further. But because the damage is actually always fixed, it's always 10% of totem life, it's not a damage range, it was quite easy to test the damage against some low-level boss and just spec into different passives on the passive tree and see if the damage changes at all. And yeah, so I was able to figure out how exactly it works. So basically this is not attack damage and it's not spell damage. So it's just physical area damage explosion. That's the damage type of this explosion. And based on this knowledge, the Ascendancy I decided to choose was Titan Ascendancy because, first of all, Warrior starts next to a lot of totem nodes on tree, and this node makes it so that it increases the effect of small passive skills, and it works really well for the totem nodes. So the first modifier, and obvious one that we can scale to scale the damage of the totems is obviously totem life. So we get quite a lot of totem life on tree. Pretty much every node, so there's totem life here and here, there's totem life over there, totem life on those nodes, and even totem life I took next to Ancestral Bonds. So the amount of totem life we get in the end is actually pretty massive. It's 67,000 totem life on totems. So the 10% of that is going to be 6.7 thousand before other damage scaling. Next way to scale damage was totem placement speed. So the idea of the build is to explode as many totems as possible per second. And how you do this is that whenever you summon a new totem over the totem limit, the old totem gets despawned and it actually counts as totem death. So whenever I summon a new totem, the old totem triggers the explosion. The more totems we can summon per second, the more explosions we're gonna trigger. So again, I get a huge amounts of totem placement speed on tree. There is so much totem placement speed here, a massive amount of totem placement speed here, giga placement speed also here and there and like there on tree. So here's how my placement speed looks like. I'm summoning totems that fast. It's really fast. I'm summoning them. So triggering a lot of explosions per second. Another way of scaling damage is actually totem damage. I think I forgot to mention that totem damage also counts for the damage scaling. So we get a lot of totem damage on tree too. And it's really nice because, again, like I mentioned before, all the totem nodes are right next to each other, right? So we get totem life, totem placement speed, and totem damage. Like all the trifecta of the best ways of scaling the damage right next to each other. So it's really effective to do it this way. So we get a huge amount of increased damage from tree, basically. Especially with Titan Ascendancy, scaling that even further. Another way of scaling damage would be to increase totem life even further with levels. So each totem skill gets more totem life the higher the level is. So this is the reason why I decided to go for Shockwave Totem skill. It's a melee totem, so we can use the Keystone on tree Giant's Blood, which allows me to dual wield 2 two-handed maces. And on two-handed maces you can have +7 levels of melee skills. So I have 2 of them, so it's +14 levels. I have amulets with +3 levels to melee skills. So my Shockwave Totem level is 37. It's quite easy to get it to level 40, which is level cap for skills, by having another +2 levels on gloves and corrupting the skill gem into level 21. So yeah, I'm really close to the cap, and wouldn't be that hard to get to the cap, honestly, here. So yeah, the totem life, again, my totem life is massive already. It's 67,000, like I showed before, thanks to level scaling as well. Another way to scale damage is, I mean, through the support gems, of course. So the next one I use after Tawhoa Tending is Greatwood. It makes it so that I can summon only one totem, and I don't want to have more than one totem even, because we can trigger more than one explosion per totem death, because we summon one extra totem, right? So we can only kill one totem from before. So there's no drawback by using Greatwood, but we get massive more totem life multiplier per totem limit. Over here, 15% per totem limit. So we get +1 totem limit here on tree. We get another +1 totem on our weapons. On maces you can have on prefix. It's a desecrated modifier. +1 totem here and here. So my totem limit is 4 right now. So I get full value from Greatwood, 60% more totem life. Sadly, when I was testing the damage, it's appeared that more totem damage from the support gem actually does not scale damage of the explosion. So increased totem damage works, but more totem damage from the support does not work. And this increaser effect doesn't work for the area either, sadly. So this support is not as great as I thought it's gonna be, but it's still worth using for this more totem life multiplier, basically. Speaking of scaling area of effect, it's also very limited, because like I mentioned, it doesn't count as attack damage. It doesn't count as spell damage either, and most of the area nodes on tree are actually for attacks, like for example here, and here, or like area, let's see, area for attacks here, or for spells. This is spell area. There are few nodes that give global area effect though. For example, this node, there's like 7, 7, 15, or even bigger here, we get 9 area effect, 9 and 12. And yeah, because it works really well in combination with the unique jewel that I use from nothing to teleport my tree basically around Ancestral Bond. So I can take these air effect nodes and I can take some extra totem life nodes here. So it's really good value from this support. And another way of scaling air effect is through support gem that actually works for these support explosions, magnified area, another 45% increased area of effect. So we can scale air effect at least a little bit. So other support gems that I was trying to use is, for example, Overabundance to get another +1 totem, but I already hit the cap of 4 totems for Greatwood, so I stopped using it, of course. I tried Brutality. Again, we do physical damage explosions, so that works quite fine, but I will explain later why I stopped using it. Brutality is gonna be bad. I tried to do Armor Break, so these explosions will trigger Armor Break and will remove enemies' armor pretty quickly, but this Armor Break didn't feel like it was scaling damage by that much, really. I tried to do some memes with Poison too, but it just didn't work at all. Astral Projector sadly didn't work either. I was hoping that maybe the explosion from this Tawhoa Tending support will be able to like distantly explode at enemies, but no, it was not happening. So another support I am using here is Urgent Totems 3. It gives 100% totem placement speed, so I can summon even more totems per second. That works really well. And the last support I'm using here is Efficiency 2 to reduce the cost. So a drawback of having a super high level of the skill is obviously the mana cost. The mana cost was massive. So I had to go for Blood Magic. There was no way I would be able to sustain it through mana. So I convert my cost from mana to life. And with even Efficiency 2 support, I have 253 life cost. I spec'd into all the life regeneration on tree I have, pretty much. Again, it's also boosted with Hulking Form from Titan. So a lot of regeneration down here, regeneration wall totem here. Like flat regeneration percent here and here. We also get regeneration on Ascendancy, and the more life you have, the more percent regeneration you get, basically, right? So more life from Titan also helps, of course. I have extra regeneration from my chest on implicit, just flat life everywhere I can. And I even actually used the Veil of Night Unique Helmet, which gives pretty massive increased maximum life. So my life is over 5,000. There is a massive drawback too, no elemental resistances, but we're gonna talk about it later. So what's my life regeneration in the end? It's actually over 1200 life per second. So because my life cost is 250, I could sustain 5 totems explosions per second. But as you can see, when my totem placement speeds, I'm summoning even more than 5 per second, and my life goes down. I still can't sustain it properly even with that much investment. So against bosses, I actually started using Fonts of Blood support. It allows it so the totems leech life to me, and it actually works from these explosions too. So against bosses, I can just right-click and hold the button, and I will be able to sustain the mana or the life costs properly. I use it instead of magnified area for bosses because we don't really need area on bosses. So another and last way of scaling damage that I found out is damage as extra. Also works on these explosions. And the easiest way to access such damage as extra is I found through runes on my weapons. So this rune gives 13% of damage as extra chaos damage, and I can use 4 of them, so it's 52% damage. And it's basically a 52% more multiplier, because we don't really scale just physical damage anymore, we scale global totem damage and the amount of totems we summon. So this is a really fat damage multiplier too. This is the reason why I stopped using brutality support, because it would delete my physical damage from these pretty powerful runes on my weapons. And that's about it in terms of damage scaling. And defenses, well, they are pretty bad, right? I have pretty massive life pool though and life regeneration, so that feels good. But because I had to use Veil of Night, it makes it that I have no elemental resistances. I can still mitigate elemental damage through armor though. So I scaled quite a lot of armor. I have 17k against physical damage, and against elemental damage I also have like around 40k. So I'm playing on hardcore, and I can clear tier 15 maps without too many problems, but it doesn't feel super safe. And I have pretty much no mitigation against elemental damage over time, for example, like burning effects and such. So yeah, not so great of defenses, but I tried my best to scale totem damage, honestly. And how do I feel about this build in the end, right? Well, I don't like it, really. So the biggest issue for me is that it's a very active playstyle. It doesn't feel like a totem build, which I prefer the most. Because for you to do damage, you need to always click a button, right? You click a button, you summon a new totem, and you trigger one explosion. And this is the only way you do damage. So every time you want to do damage, you need to do a click. It is a one-button build, though. At least I have no other buttons on my skill tree right now. But yeah, it feels extremely active for a totem build, and honestly, against bosses, it even feels like I'm playing some self-cast spellcaster channeling spell, because I just have to hold the button like that, right, to do the maximum DPS. So yeah, it feels like playing channeling skill, not my type of build, really. Another problem is that mapping feels kind of slow, because again, it's hard to scale area of effects, and the initial explosion is not that big. So I am using magnified area support, and I get some extra area effect on tree. But yeah, area effect for attacks and for spells doesn't work because it's not attacker spell. So still quite clunky for mapping. And honestly, another like really disappointing thing is that the damage is not even that great. I thought like after scaling all the totem life and totem placement speed, I thought I will just hold down the button for like 2 seconds and any boss will melt with these giga explosions. But it's sadly not even the case. That's so sad for me. I'm gonna show the gameplay really soon, and you will be able to see the damage. So again, I didn't fully min-max that, right? Like my skill level is not 40, it's 37, and I didn't really feel like I'm inspired to try to min-max further though, because not my type of build. Not really a totem build, even though it's technically a totem. But if you will like the showcase, nevertheless, I will leave the link to my character in the video description, so you can check it out if you want to. So yeah, let's get to a map showcase. So it's gonna be a rare tier 15 map, and with a boss kill as well in the end. I went with boss difficulty 1 only though. Boss difficulty 1, I tried to do maps with boss difficulty 5, but my DPS and my defenses are not on a good level, so because I'm also playing hardcore, I don't want to lose this character because I might re-roll it into something else. Yeah, I decided to go with boss difficulty 1, just like, this is enough. So yeah, hope you guys will enjoy the video showcase, and see you next time, and remember to take care of your totems. Bye bye.
Crush them! combo! Meek creature! Destruction! Feel my wrath! You won't get away from me! Rage all you want, beast!